Josh, what's up? What you getting into today, man? Maxilla. Okay, so today's treat is a knife that I made probably about 10 years ago and never really got to use. This is O1 tool steel, which I don't see guys really using and testing, probably because you don't have mass manufactured knives that are O1 tool steel. It's just pocket knives aren't made out of it. The only time you find O1 tool steel is when you find guys that are making custom knives. But let's see if we can get it here. I don't know if it shows up on here, but it do be shaving. So it'll be shaving. Let me go get the copy paper real quick because I forgot that. Okay. Now let's check the edge on the copy paper like we always do. As you can see, I got this thing real good and sharp. And this is a fairly thick slab of steel too, so I'm surprised he got that sharp, but I also have a convex going into a smaller convex, going into a smaller convex on this thing, so I guess it has valid reason to be sharp. But we're going to see how long this takes to reach the point where we got to strop it. And we'll start with a remnant from the last stream. Okay, this already cuts better than the last knife I made. Like, it's still wedging through there. I'm not going to throw it at the table. Even if it could do the knife throwing thing, like, this would be really hard to stick, and I don't want to tear my table up. Let's see what we get here on the dice. We hit the floor. 14. All right, that's a good number. We threw that for no reason whatsoever. But definitely testing to see how long this edge holds up, and we're going to see how good my heat treatment was. Because I think after I got my forge, this was one of the first things I made. And if you look at the handle, we had like the world's smallest scrap of Honduran rosewood burl to use to make the scales out of. So this, if y'all remember the other knife I made from the last one, this thing is still, plowing through it like a thick wedge, but it's cutting way easier right out of the gate. What have you guys been doing today? I just went out to be at a friend of mine's mom and drive back home before I had to show up for the live stream at 2 o'clock like I promised on the community post. And the stream will probably run to somewhere around 4 o'clock. And she's still plowing through this stuff like a pretty thick wedge. Okay, cardboard from work. Ah, church, gotcha. It is Sunday. Oh, Jesus, this is some hardcore stuff. It feels like at least I got the ergos right on the handle. This should be fairly comfortable for the whole couple of hours. Oh, and how much you guys want to bet when I post the video about the results from this thing? Someone's gonna pop in and be like, "Well, of course it sucked. You made it out of a bumper from a 1989 Ford Escort, and you used 3 pencils taped together for the handle. Of course it's gonna suck." So we're doing edge retention and heat treatment testing on this. I made this somewhere around 10 years ago out of O1 tool steel. I don't see anyone running O1 tool steel on their fixed blades or pocket knives and testing that out. So we got a kind of unique opportunity here. And we started the stream off shaving sharp and all that is good. So we're definitely off to a good start. But this is a fairly thick slab of steel, so it's wedging through as much as cutting. But yeah, this is every one of these live streams. We're just testing the edge retention of different steels, the ergonomics of different knives, you know, all that stuff. And we're hanging out and shooting the shit because normally we get off to some good conversations. I don't have a Bally. It's one of those things I don't particularly feel like learning how to use. There's not a good way to carry it the way I carry knives. You know, it's not my thing. I had one years and years ago, and my uncle, before he passed away, showed me a pretty basic flourish when opening, but of course it looks cool when people don't know Balisongs. So I was cool with that, but the one that I had eventually fell apart. Yeah, I know what a Balisong is, but the one I had, it fell apart because every time I had it, I'm just kind of flipping it open and closed, running that basic flourish, and eventually it wore out, and the pins at the pivot, those I think the frame broke at the pivot, if memory serves. Trust me, I am familiar with the butterfly knife, and every year when I go to Blade Show, are these big ass crowds of kids. Oh God, I don't want to do an edge retention test on something like K390. I'll be here for 2 days. But every year when I go to Blade Show, there's like a little pockets of like 7 or 8 kids that are like 11 to 15 years old. And all you hear is click, 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 click from like 5 of them at once. And that's just them going nuts on the Balisongs. And there's always like one 44-year-old guy standing there with them, and he seems so out of place. Like, I'm assuming it's one of their dads or something like that, but it just, like, it looks like a grown man hanging out with a bunch of, you know, kids that are there for My Little Pony or something. Punisher, what's up? And there is our king of following me up on trivia. Oh, trust me, you know the channel. I've owned plenty of pieces of crap. I got some nice stuff, and I got a lot of crap. So here's the thing, and you may have to get your hands on it in person to really tell, but all you're really worried about is the frame and the pivots being good on a Balisong. Because the blade steel, even if it's like 3CR13, it can still hold up to a lot of basic cuts, package opening, stuff like that. I don't know if you can push it too hard through, you know, hard use, but we've had 3CR13 take like 3.5 hours of cardboard slayer, and all we had to do was drop it back to life. And this box wasn't the best candidate for this because it's got a tear along dotted lines part. So it keeps wanting to collapse on me while I'm cutting. And yeah, the thick chungus of steel right here. Oh man, it is wedging through. It's like trying to push an axe through this stuff. I don't have a zero tolerance. The 0350 is on the list of stuff that I want, but the price keeps going up on it, and the amount of money I have to spend on it gets less and less and less. So like right now, I'm waiting for just having a few extra bucks to pick up a $30 knife that's claiming to be S35VN and putting it through this to see how it holds up to this, because I don't see S35VN at $30. I don't think that's legit. I could be totally wrong about it, but I don't think it's legit. Yeah, $30 for S35VN. Cannot remember what the name of the knife or the name of the company is. It's something really goofy sounding, but yeah, $30 on Amazon. Matter of fact, I mean, it might be a legit heat treatment. We don't know. It might be a cheaper steel passing itself off as S35VN, but let me pull up the Amazon listing and let you take a look at it. Because I know somebody's going to be interested in at least trying it out. Somebody. It's gone up to 35 bucks. But yeah, Wallopton Tactical Folding Knife, CPM S35VN steel. And 34.56. So yeah, it's that guy right there. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the other side of this that could be playing a part in it. Cold Steel has kind of flooded the market with S35VN. So they may just be making it in larger and larger batches, which the larger the batches of steel are that they make the knives from, the cheaper they get. That's one thing we've been discovering. Or it's one thing that's apparently known that I'm discovering. Let's be a little bit more realistic. God, it is a push to get this thing through the cardboard, guys. It's a thick chungus, but I've also got flat, kind of a convex into a smaller convex, and then a smaller convex at the bottom. I wasn't in the knife game when D2 was the newest high-end steel. Like I got back into knives a few years ago. Like I had a lot of time where I didn't have the money to buy knives, and the only place to buy a knife near me was Walmart, and they didn't have much of anything. So I just kind of lived without. You know, I wanted to pick up more knives, I just couldn't. And I'm still waiting on the diamond paste and the strop from Temu to show up so that we can try that out. The Swiss Tech stuff is good. I carried and reviewed the Swiss Tech Werdig, and that's the pale green micarta with the red accents. I really, really, really like that thing, especially for the money. The black one, I didn't pick up, but I will eventually. It's again, at the moment, I am broke. I've got quite a few knives in D2, and torture testing D2 on cardboard slayers on the list of things to do. That's one thing I like about D2. And I'm not 100% on this. I'm not 100% on this, but if I remember right from the chart that I saw, D2 was not very far off from like 9CR13. That's what my memory tells me, but my memory is not the most reliable thing on the planet. If it's as well made as the folder I have, then yeah, I kind of don't doubt it'll survive some pretty hefty abuse. Get out of there. Yeah, we're gonna go through a fair amount of cardboard before we edge test it. So one thing to note here, I did make this right after I got my my first proper forge in. So I don't remember whether or not I got the heat treatment the way it's supposed to be done. There's a reasonable chance I just jammed it in there and overheated something somewhere around the middle and then just dropped it in a quench. So we may have some really weird edge retention stuff going on. I wish I had some more bars of that 01 tool steel, but the guy I got it from, he's kind of a, I think he may still be strung out on meth. I'm not sure. The last time I saw him, he was either blitzed out of his mind or going through withdrawals. And tried to help the guy, and we took him out. We bought him dinner, all that. I haven't seen him again. Yeah, I know. Like it's bad and it sucks. I've been in that same spot myself, but I kept everything that I used cheap enough that I could still, you know, pay bills, go to work, do all those things, which I thought I had the system beat at that point, but all I did was stretch out the misery for about 7 or 8 years longer than I would have had to go do something about it. We almost got a squeak pulling that back out. And at some point here, I'm going to figure out how to wire up some better RGB stuff down here towards the floor. I just got to figure out a good surface to mount it on that I can put down here and then move when I need to. Which, fittingly, it should be a piece of cardboard, which I may end up actually doing. Yep. Hey, Gabriel, how you doing, man? So right now we are cutting up cardboard with a knife that I made about 10 years ago. And this is 01 tool steel. And this is interesting because one, I don't know whether or not I got the heat treatment right. And two, I haven't seen guys do this with 01 tool steel and see how it holds up. Like, and I think part of that is unless you're buying handmade knives, you're not going to find anything in 01 tool steel. Like the only place I've seen 01 tool steel come up is in knife making groups that I'm in. And I have never seen 01 tool steel come up in a mass market knife that somebody bought. You know, I think it would be interesting, but I don't know if that would ever actually create enough hype or enough interest to really sell enough of them to justify making them. And I'm going to tell you right now, these tear along the dotted line boxes like this that I have, I hate working with them at work. You're trying to open the top of the box so you can close it with backstock in it, and the whole box kind of comes apart. So I hate these things with the passion of 1,000 traffic jams. I need to start forging again about 4 or 5 years ago. My mental health went downhill pretty far, and my desire to go in the shop also went with it. And you know, like if you're in the shop and your head's not in the game, you're not going to be paying attention to your safety. You're going to get hurt eventually. You know, to quote my uncle, you are the softest thing in the shop. Act like it. But yeah, if I try to make if and when I try to make another knife, I'm going to start way smaller than stuff like this. Make some neck knives, stuff like that. Because that was a mistake I made. I didn't start small. I started going for full size stuff right out the gate. And I need to reach a point. I need to reach a point where I'm able to treat the grinding belts like they're free, which is one of the biggest pieces of advice I ever heard from any knife maker. Treat your belts like they're free, and I have not been able to afford that shit. Oh, where'd my dice go? You guys, my dice disappeared. Oh no. And watch, it fell on the floor and landed on a nat 20. Oh no, I need that. Wow, it vanished. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry, we're gonna roll, see what we can get later tonight. No reason, not rolling it for any point. So where is it? I have told this tale a number of times now. I'm sure guys are sick of hearing it. The last thing I did was this right here. I made 93 layers of Raindrop Damascus and huge delamination right here. It fucking, I am still so saddened by that. But while making that smaller knife, I had way more control over everything that happened with it. And that one, everything went according to plan except for that delamination. So definitely start small. Yeah, I've definitely talked about it. Knockoff, how are you doing, man? But I was letting Gabriel know what happened there because he's made some knives too. And like I mentioned earlier, when I do the video about the results here, how much you want to bet somebody pops in and they're like, well, of course it sucks. You made it out of the bumper from a 1989 Ford Escort and you taped 3 pencils together for the handle. Both of the videos about stuff I've made have come up like that. The last one, the last knife I did, where is it? Yeah, when we did this one on the last live stream, somebody's like, well, I mean, it's going to suck if you cut it out of a machete blank and use a wood cutting board for the handles. It's going to be ugly. And I didn't think to get a screenshot before. I didn't get a screenshot before he took the comment down. So I'm waiting to see what someone says about this one. I want that screenshot. I'm not sure what an oh man, thanks, dude. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'm not sure what an OSO suite is yesterday, or what an OSO suite is. Sorry, I woke up way too early to go meet up with somebody, and I'm not totally coherent right now. But I was excited about finding this thing and testing it out, so here we are. I think this is the last piece of the tearaway cardboard. Okay, it's a Kershaw. Not too bad. Real quick, let me take a look on Amazon and see what it is, because now you got my curiosity piqued. Oh, okay. Yes, I see what you're picking up there. I'm smoking what you're rolling. Now, the all important question is it a tip up carrier? No. Ah, wah, wah, wah. It's a tip down. It is a tip down carry. Oh, nice. Oh, it is? You can move the pocket clip? I may have spoken too soon. Let me look at that again. Okay, I did spoke too soon. Yeah, right-hand carry doesn't bother me. I carry right-handed. I understand lefties suffering because of it. But yeah, I will retract that I will retract that action figure fart. It is tip up. I tell you what, man, a slicer this thing ain't. Like, it shaved, it cut the paper, did all those things, which I was pleasantly surprised to see. But man, this thing's a wedge. So one thing to note when you start making knives, it is very, very hard when you have a chunk of raw steel to figure out how much is enough. You always start with like twice as much as you need. And you get tired of hammering shit out. So you wind up with stuff like this where it is profoundly thick and winds up being like more of a chopper than a fine use knife, even though you wanted to make something that does what this stuff does. Oh, cool. But the Ken Onion designs that I've seen, that I know are Ken Onion designs, are all right. Like the leak doesn't really speak to me. I think I know because that may have been one of the first assisted openers, at least with the speed safe. You know, I see how it got the traction it did, but it's just like I look at the leak, and you know, when I saw how much hype it was, when I saw how much hype it had, I'm like, cool, I want one. And then I looked at it, and I came back and looked at it, and I came back and looked at it, and it's like, you know what? It's not my thing. Oh god, I hate it when you can't find a knife that you want to look at. Like this thing, it's been lost for at least 2 years now. And every so often I'd go looking for it and couldn't find it. I set it on the dining room table on top of a big pile of paperwork and, you know, junk mail and everything, because we've let the house kind of go downhill, and one of the things that went was the dining room. That's where all of our boxes, junk mail, everything got piled up. And the much better half found this on the floor under the table, and I'm not sure how it got under there. I have to assume if the tip snapping on the leak was a prevalent issue, they probably would have addressed that pretty fast, especially how long it's been on the market. But you can tell by the shape too and the ergonomics, it's not designed to do a lot of puncturing. Like you don't have a good enough grip on it for that. The other thing that I can't find right now that I'd love to test out, I have a knife that I started off making as a Bowie knife, and I got the plunge line wrong. I got this right here wrong. I got everything wrong on it, but it did resemble a giant kitchen knife. And I used that thing to cut pizzas and stuff like that. And the dishes piled up in the kitchen pretty bad on us. And I don't know where it is now. I keep going through stuff there and I can't see it. Like I can't find it. It's like really, really annoying because I like when I want to cut pizzas up or something, I can't find it. One last little bit of tear along dotted line cardboard. I can't tell you how much I hate this. So I made this knife about 10 years ago, and we're testing my heat treatment and my edge retention because I never really use it after I made it. And we're also hanging out, we're shooting the shit and talking knives and whatever else comes up. The last time it was old commercials from like the 1980s and 90s, which I actually enjoyed that. That was a nice trip down memory lane. Kind of a core memory unlocked moment. Yeah, we have fun with these. Problem is when I have days that I'm off work, I am so tired I can't function. You know, I closed last night. We ended up clocking out at 12:30 a.m. because I had 3 guys scheduled to be with me to work the truck that came in the day before onto the shelf because they didn't finish it during the day, and block the store and close everything down. And one of my guys showed up 3 hours late and put us so far behind. The biggest blade I've made. Where is it? That's going to be this guy right here. I absolutely flubbed the heat treatment on it, so it's not safe to use. There's a whole bunch of fractures right here. A lot of fractures on the spine, more fractures up here. Like it's not safe to use. And it sucks because I figured out how to cut the skin off a bowling ball and make the scales for that. Like it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. I cut the skin off a bowling ball to make these scales. I kind of want to see how this thing cuts now. It's a knife-shaped object. I think I might need to sharpen it, guys. I've made a couple other knives that are kind of pushing this kind of size, and those, one of them was for my buddy Victor. He wanted something that he could bushcraft with and take out into the woods in case he had to bug out somewhere. The other one I made for myself, and then a friend of mine traded me a bunch of crap for it, and it had enough problems. I was like, you know what, you can have it, dude. I don't care. Yeah, this one ain't as sharp. So I can't reheat treat this because it's got fractures in it. The steel is broken. There's no way to fix that broken steel in here. And like if I were to hit something hard, there's a 90% chance that it's going to snap right here and pieces are going to go flying everywhere. There's no saving this thing. It's just a wall hanger, and it's got this on it, which I like showing off because I feel like that was really damn creative. I think I spent a day and a half, 2 days on it. Like, that was the thing. And I had just gotten my forge, and it wasn't too long after I made this, I don't think, or it might have been before I made this. I didn't know what I was doing. So one thing with making knives is the last 10% of your work takes 90% of your time. You know, if you're going to get a good grind on it, you're going to get it polished up, you're going to get everything fitted up right. You're going to make your handles, your handle scales correct. You know, it takes a lot of time. And I tried to make Bowling Ball 2.0. I tried. Every bowling ball I've gotten from Goodwill and tried it with, I cut the skin off it, and then I heated it and pressed it flat, and the stuff crumbled. Every single one. I have not found another bowling ball with the right material on it to cut off to make scales. So at some point, I'll try again. But without my dad's bandsaw, it's really, really hard to cut those things up in the right way to get scale material. Because when you cut a whole bowling ball gets cut up, and you might have enough skin there for like 2 sets of scales. So that they don't go very far. You know, I would have liked to have done this one too, but I got a really small scrap of Honduran rosewood burl, and I used that. And I mean, it was just a scrap that was getting thrown away, barely wider than this thing. Apparently, one thing that I can do with these, though, is make the ergos on the handle pretty damn good. This edge seems to be holding up pretty damn well so far. Yep, there we go. I have made scales out of a bamboo cutting board. If you want some insane figure on material, they may still have them, they may not, but TJ Maxx for the longest time had olive wood cutting boards for like $9, and the figure on those things is absolutely nuts. But you can look for cheap cutting boards on Amazon, stuff like that, and a lot of times you can find some really good material and a large slab of it for like $12. I got one cutting board made out of shisham, which is from India, that I picked up to make beads for a friend of mine. I think his parents are from, if I remember what he told me, India and Africa, respectively. And So he is very, very, very proud of his Indian heritage. Chatoyancy. Oh God, yeah, I love getting some stuff with good chatoyance in it. That was one of the things that I always looked for specifically whenever I was picking out pieces of wood for a lot of my projects. But yeah, he's extremely proud of his Indian heritage. So I made him specifically some Shisham lanyard beads, which I don't think he's using, but I know he's got them put somewhere safe. But yeah, the olive wood, there's no chatoyancy on it. It's just the grain on it's absolutely nuts. And the Shisham has a bit more of a plain grain to it, but you got a lot of light colored wood with a lot of orange red kind of coursing through it. It still looks really cool. I know I've had at least one Tramontina blade. I don't remember if it was a machete or a small fixed blade. I don't remember, but those things did not survive moving and divorcing and everything else that happened. We're going to have to test the edge after this. It's starting to get hard to cut. I don't think it's shaving anymore. All right, knockoff. Definitely go get that video in. Yeah, I've got a friend that passed away recently, like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And he went to the trouble of getting a veterinary clinic started and getting it up and running. And he did the whole thing in like DC and Marvel superheroes. Like, it's really cool. You walk into the waiting room, and it's kind of like walking into a small section of a comic shop. And I was talking to his mom. Oh, wow. Cool. But I was talking to his mom today. I was like, you guys missed a really, really big opportunity, because most of these superheroes have pets, which would have made a lot more sense at a veterinary clinic. And then I had to explain to her the finer points of the existence of Bat Cow. We got a box from Cranberry Cocktail with Calcium coming up next. Let's do ourselves a cut test. Seems like she's still cutting all right. I'm just having a hard time getting the cut started. Why can I not get this cut going? Yeah, now do what you got to do, man. It may be wise to actually have some videos on deck ready to go. I just don't have the patience for that. Like, I can't sit there and wait on a finished video without uploading it. Oh my God, this stuff cuts easy. Holy crap. I'm happy to finally have something that cuts without killing myself. Uh-oh, chat died. I'm trying to think of something interesting to bring up, but I'm drawing a blank. Gotcha. Like, I've done so many videos that I looked at and I wasn't happy with. I've redone, like, I've had some videos I've had to redo like 4 times from the start to get it at least close to how I wanted. And I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the vibe has kind of been evolving as I've been doing these. You know, the energy's been changing, everything. I'm sliding back on information on the knives, like doing my research before I present the review, blade steel, blade length, handle material, all that. But you know, I'm getting more comfortable with it, and that's the thing. You got to do enough videos to get comfortable. Like, do them, upload them, watch them, critique them, all that. Like, you got to do a bunch of videos to get comfortable. Like, if you go way back in the channel's life and look at some of the old YouTube shorts I did when I was only doing YouTube shorts, I sound like I've been doing recreational Benadryl all day before I hit record. Like, I click away almost immediately whenever I go to check out older stuff. Oh God. Bro, I say and so fucking much. I have not been able to curb that, and I don't care. No one seems to be bothered by it, and that's okay. A lot of times my thoughts are like 5 steps ahead of me and like 15 words ahead of me, so I have to stop and parse, and that's what gets me parsed up and back on track. Trust me, when I go back and watch them, I can feel every single but I really can't do much about it. It's like, I want to curb the and the but that would require doing a video like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times and scrubbing it every single time until I got the right take. And you know, I'd much rather the videos feel straight to the point and a little bit more organic feeling. Did I watch that video when you posted it and shared some of my own thoughts on it? Because I know I watched someone's video and I shared my thoughts on it, and I don't think I did another one. Yeah, because it was someone from one of my Facebook groups. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the best knife I've made before is, just because I've made fixed blades and they never get used. The one thing that I am the most content with, however, is I made a Kiradashi out of 15-layer lazy twist Damascus that I made. That was the first billet of Damascus I ever made, and I was very, very happy that it worked on the first try. My uncle, were he still alive, would have been incredibly proud. You know, when I was growing up, like, the things that he wouldn't shut up about as far as knives went was, one, Damascus steel. He was absolutely obsessed with that stuff. Gerber knives, he wouldn't stop talking about. Benchmade, he was on board that hype train. And out of the stuff he has that I got after he passed away, there's a lot of gas station grade goodness, and then there's some really nice stuff in there. But you know, Gerber's in there. I don't know if he had I don't know if he was willing to spend the money to buy any Benchmades, but he was definitely a bit of a fanboy. But there's also some cool stuff that I'm pretty sure he brought home from Germany when he moved back to the States. That was also, you know, some cool stuff that you don't see here that often. And then I got some bayonets, stuff like that. But yeah, the Damascus Kiradashi with the Lazy Twist Damascus is probably my favorite thing I've made. I did do videos showing off my uncle's knives, or at least a lot of them. I think it was one of those Sentimental Saturday deals or something like that. I know I showed off a bunch of them. And I don't remember exactly which ones I got, but I have done that. Yvonne, hi. Yeah, I just honestly cannot remember exactly which video it was, or I'd point you in that direction. But I think it might have been a Knives I'm Sentimental About video. It's most likely. I will say one nice thing about Cardboard Slayer is we had like a huge pile of Amazon boxes in the dining room from, again, where we kind of let that go. And I have gotten them cut down to pieces, taken to work, and thrown in a cardboard baler. At one point, I wanted to start selling knives. However, again, I haven't been in the shop making these in a good at least 5 years now. And I'm not going to be back in the shop anytime soon. Like, my job, it completely drains me. Social battery, mental battery, physical battery. So I haven't had the time and energy to go back into the shop. And I'm in a part of the country where when summer hits, it's not uncommon to see temperatures over 100 degrees and the humidity is like 90%. So you sweat through your shirt before you make it across the garage. And then you're standing next to a 2,000 degree box of fire for the rest of your afternoon. And I was able to handle it when I didn't have anything else going on and I was kind of between jobs and, you know, spending most of my time at the house. But I don't have that in me now. And I'm assuming the way things have been going, this summer we're probably going to see like 100 degrees plus for pretty much the entire summer. And I am not looking forward to it because the doors at work pretty much stay open in the front because nobody will stop walking back and forth through them. And that sales floor is going to be hotter than the underside of Satan's balls. And more moist. But believe me, I'd love to have the time and education and knowledge for how to make folding knives. Yeah, I'm in Georgia, so that humidity is absolutely no joke. The temperatures tend to be not a joke. Like summers used to be a lot more pleasant out here. I can remember a time when summer was warm, it was pleasant, you could go out and enjoy yourself. And now, no. Things have changed. You know, and I kind of keep hoping we're going to see snow during the winter and a cooler, more mellow summer, and it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. You know, no snow, so we haven't seen milk sandwich zombies showing up. It's been a whole bunch of nothing. And I'm sure at some point we're gonna break the worst year record for pollen that I've ever seen, and it's probably sooner rather than later. Not looking forward to that either. I have been out to Texas on purpose, I think twice. And one time we got out there and it was literally 111 degrees and there was like no humidity. So it felt exactly, and I mean exactly like getting into a dry sauna. I was very, very unhappy about the whole thing. Reyes Chavez, hello. Right now, we're just torture testing a knife that I made about 10 years ago to check the edge retention and see whether or not I got the heat treatment right, because I never used it after I made it. And this is O1 tool steel, and I haven't seen O1 tool steel tested for edge retention or anything on anybody else's channels. So here we are. We deserve that. Would you believe that there is a whole series of these action figures? There is a whole series of these action figures, and I bought the whole series. I haven't seen 122 degrees before. I think the worst I can remember seeing is 111, and that'll happen every couple of years. There was one year I was working for Scott's Lawn Service spraying yards, and the expectation is that you wear a long sleeve polyester uniform shirt while you're spraying. And the air conditioner went out on my truck. It threw a belt. And so I asked immediately, please fix my air conditioning. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. You'll be all right. So 111 degrees riding around in a truck with no AC. I stripped down to a wife beater. And I just worked in that because, you know, no way in hell am I living through that mess in a long sleeve polyester shirt. And at one point, 2 or 3 of the managers were in a truck and they drove past me. I didn't see them. So they hit me up on the Nextel and they're like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm working. He's like, what are you wearing? And my brain was like, what the fuck is this? And they caught me with a wife beater and they're just like, you need to put your uniform shirt on now. I was like, you won't fix the AC in my truck. No. And we went around and around about that. And finally, eventually, I got a truck with air conditioning and I was fine again. But, bro, that sucks so bad. And, like, we had to wear the nitrile rubber gloves, the Nitrochems. And you'd have to stop and pour them out every so often. That's just like the rubber boots you had to wear while you were spraying chemicals. We'd have to stop and pour those out every so often, too. Cannot tell you how glad I am I'm not living in that and working in that environment anymore. Oh, this stuff cuts so nice. And I think I'm shutting this down a little bit after 4 o'clock. So I can go upstairs and chill for a little while before I got to put myself under for the night. I don't know if I finished my thought, but I closed last night, got out of there at 12:30 a.m., and I got to open tomorrow. And I can't tell you how much I don't want to go to opening after closing for most of a week. However, I am missing out on Monday night, which Monday night is always rough. It is always a challenge to make it through Monday night. So I'm kind of happy I don't got to do that. Yeah, you're kind of lucky you got out of there when you did. It sucks. However, that lawn spraying stuff did result in me having to figure out one day how to get rid of 4 gallons of stale piss. Um, the area that I worked in, there was no real, like, if you needed to go to the convenience store to use the bathroom, it was like 20 to 30 minutes out of your way. So that wasn't an option because I didn't get to go home until I met a certain production quota. And instead of being on a lawn every 10 minutes, my stops were often 15 minutes apart. So I was already out there forever. But the truck that I had at the time, you had a bay in the back. It was most of the back for your 400 gallon or your 200 gallon chemical tank. But there was a small bay separate from that where you put your spreader and your dry fertilizer and all that. And I had a broken hand can sprayer. I was the only person there that could keep a backpack sprayer in one piece. So I had the luxury of having that. But the hand can sprayer broke almost immediately. It was garbage. So I wound up using that as a urinal. And I didn't realize how far I'd pushed it until one day I go back there and it's filled to the brim. So, like, you're in a truck full of chemicals. You can't be seen dumping a hand can into a storm drain or anything, because that is a huge issue that's really hard to explain. It's like, no, it wasn't weed control chemicals. It was urine. It was just straight up urine. So I ended up dumping it in the 400 gallon tank and just running the agitator and running it to let it mix up and dilute. And I figured the problem was solved. All right, it was diluted enough to not be a huge deal. I was going to change out of my uniform when I got back to work anyways. That'd be all right for the day. However, I was spraying yards with it, and every time the wind picked up, every dog in the neighborhood and the neighborhood next to it lost their shit. I mean, they were barking nonstop, and I mean every single one. I really would like to know what kind of apex predator they thought was stomping around there. I really do. But yeah, and depending on what kind of lawn care business you were working on too, like whether it was the mow, blow, and go or the weed control, if you're running it right, the weed control can have like a 30 some odd % profit margin. Scott's was like, yeah, they were expecting chupacabra, but you know, when I worked for Scott's Lawn Service, we were like more expensive than everything else by a healthy margin. And I was told that our profit margin was about 40% on the chemicals and everything else. So I would imagine if you can get that off the ground and running right, you could probably make a decent amount of money once you got a route established. And the big thing, like, I can't speak for Texas, but in Georgia, if you're trying to do mow, blow, and go, you had to run yourself out of business due to the costs versus what you were able to charge in order to get business. Everybody was undercutting each other so much. You know, they were putting themselves out of business, trying to compete with the other guys who were putting themselves out of business. And like doing residential stuff, you know, every dude that had a Murray riding mower had the same idea at the same time. I'm going to put this in the truck and go door to door. And that meant you couldn't make any money at residential. And the only way you could survive is you picked up a few large corporate accounts and just worked those while you built the residential stuff up. Because I did go door to door with the lawnmower on my day off a good few times. And the first couple times I did it, like we could pull about we could pull about 120 to 150 bucks in a day, me and a buddy of mine. But after about 3 weeks of doing that, we'd go out and we'd drive around, spend the whole day out there and come back with like 30 bucks. Just because, again, everybody with a cheap riding mower had the same idea at the same time. So we couldn't really find any work there doing that. So that was the end of that era. I wasn't trying to get a full business going. I was just trying to make some extra money to cover bills. All right, so it's been an hour of cutting. small edge problems are starting to show up. Like I can feel two spots, somewhere right here and somewhere right here, where it's starting to dull up and hang a little bit. Yeah, he might have had to deal with a broken ankle or so. If it's gonna take forever to load, have you tried going to Wi-Fi instead of 5G? Like I'll leave the 5G on my phone just because it's unlimited and a lot of times it's faster than the Wi-Fi. However, for some reason, uploading longer videos to YouTube, the Wi-Fi, it'll be like a 12-minute upload, and 5G, it'll be like 45-minute upload. Okay, so that was an okay cut. I think we're actually still in relatively good shape. Yeah, I'm feeling just the slightest bit of wear. Okay, Wi-Fi. Your next step would be unplug your router and plug it back in. Just unplug it and let it sit for about a minute and then plug it back in. Get all those caches cleared out and see if that doesn't get you where you want to go on faster Wi-Fi. God knows when I was gaming off of the old router that we had before we got fiber optic internet, I was unplugging the router religiously. You know, okay, that's what we're cutting up now. Huh. All right. Yeah, like, I know, like, I'm medium trash at most games. You know, and a lot of these, I didn't develop a ton of muscle memory on and all that when I was younger. And of course, when you're younger, you absorb everything like a sponge. You develop skills really fast. So I'm just kind of medium trash, just trying to relax and have fun when I'm playing, which those of us that know, like you start trying to play online multiplayer and a lot of stuff as an older guy that picked the game up in the last year or two. It's about as much fun as a softball-sized hemorrhoid, butt-ass naked, sitting on the beach. I don't know what my current phone records at. I don't. I'm gonna have to take a look at that and see if I can figure it out. Like 30 FPS sounds right. 1080 sounds about right. Like I don't think I could upscale it to 4K or something like that, and I wouldn't want to. Like 1080p is plenty for YouTube. It's already gonna buffer out, and you'll deal with a degradation anyways. So far, this thing is doing way better than this thing did. The edge is holding up a lot better. It's cutting a good bit better. So we got that part. No. Oh, fuck off. I don't know why sometimes it likes that cut and sometimes it won't do it. Yeah, that also sounds about right. 2 gigs sounds about right. Sergio, what's going on, man? So we're torture testing this thing that I made about 10 years ago and seeing how the edge holds up. We got O1 tool steel here, which I haven't seen anybody else test. So here we are. But if you want O1 tool steel, you got to find guys that are hand making knives. Nobody mass producing knives uses O1 tool steel. And so far, this one's holding up a lot better than the last one we did that I made. Yeah, it probably is. I mean, I'm not running the newest phone. It's like a Nord N300 from Metro PCS. So it's not the nicest thing on the planet, but it's nice enough for what I need. At some point here, if the channel grows enough, I'll have to look at investing in an iPhone and a MacBook. Don't need cell service on the iPhone. I just need to use it to record the videos, and I'm pretty sure you can just punch it straight over to the MacBook and do your editing and all that on there and upload from the MacBook instead of what I've got now, which is just record the raw video, upload it, and go on about my day. Because I'd love to be able to edit a little bit, add some background music, stuff like that. I can't with the way I'm set up right now. I haven't had a Samsung in forever. Like, it's been probably about 4 or 5 years now, and I do miss my Samsungs. But I've gotten used to the Nord enough that I don't really notice that big of a difference, but I always remember Samsungs were a little bit more intuitive to use. Oh, you're also on the Nord N300? So then yeah, like we're on the same thing. I had the Nord N10, and it served me well enough, but it wouldn't do any more updates because the Android version that you needed to do those updates was not on that phone. And I started having trouble recording videos because I'd get anywhere from 20 seconds into like 6 minutes on the video, and it would freeze and dump all the data, and I'd have to do the take again. I might be down there doing 7, 8, 9 takes before one of them finally worked, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. Yeah, like every 3 or 4 years, I'll just swing by and I'll buy a new phone that can be upgraded to a better version of Android, or it has a better version of Android that I can get the updates on, and that has, features that function right. Because of course, once a phone hits a certain age, a lot of features, they work, but they don't work well. And honestly, if I wasn't doing videos, I would have probably just stuck with that old phone. Yeah, I do remember when we had phones that could only make phone calls. I didn't have a cell phone then because they cost more money than I had. But yeah. I'll tell you one thing that I do kind of miss is I had a Samsung Messenger 2, and that thing had a slide out keyboard that you could use. Yeah, I had the equivalent to a flip phone and a Nextel for a while there, which I really enjoyed. I just dropped a SIM card from work in it and ran it. But that Messenger 2 was a lot of fun, and you had a screen and you had basic internet access. You could look at still pages and look at still pictures, but you couldn't do video. But that thing was fun. And I know they're probably never going to make one again, but I'd really, really like to have a smartphone like we have now, but something that had a slide out keyboard on it. Yeah, the first phone I ever had was that Messenger 2. I'm both vaping, I'm getting something to drink, and I'm going a little slower than I was. I said I'm very tired. I woke up too early to go out and meet a friend for for lunch, and then come back here and do the live stream. So yeah, I'm not moving as fast as I was. And yes, I am enjoying my nicotine. Judah, thank you, sir. I don't know why slicing up cardboard is so fascinating for a live stream, but this is mostly about hanging out and talking with you guys. Now, pagers, those things, those were also too expensive for my poor ass when they were a thing. However, one time I found a pager sitting on the ground in the grass in front of a Burger King. And I kept hoping whoever lost the beeper would like page it with like their home number or something like that. But they kept paging their beeper with the beeper's number. So I wound up with a free beeper for Jesus Christ, about 9 months. So this is a knife that I made about 10 years ago. Yeah, no, I definitely hammer that vape. But I made this about 10 years ago out of 01 tool steel. So we're looking at the 01 tool steel to see how it holds up, how my edge holds up, and how my heat treatment holds up. And of course, we're hanging out. Yeah. So it's been over an hour now, and the edge is still holding strong, which the last knife we did was this one that I made. And after about an hour, the edge was really rolled over and had to be stropped back. So, and I made this years after I made this one. Yeah, pagers still had a few years left whenever I got that one. And of course, I didn't have the money to go pay for a pager every month. So having that one was interesting. Yeah, I like 1095 carbon steel too. It's just I haven't made enough knives to really be able to gauge 1095. And I think the other knife I just showed you is 1095, if I'm not mistaken. But I didn't quite get the heat treatment right. And I really didn't get the grind right on it, so it cut like crap. Yeah, that is a bit of a slab. Not gonna lie. But in spite of it being a slab, so I've got a flat right here. This bevel's a bit of a convex. It goes into a smaller convex right here, and then one more smaller convex at the edge. So it does have a lot going for it in the slicing department, even though it's this thick. Yeah, we haven't tested D2 yet, but that's on the list. So far, we've tested 440 steel from 1980. We have tested some, what I think is 420 HC. We're pretty sure one of them is 420 J2, an Ozark Trail from Walmart. We have tested 3 CR13. We have tested 9 CR18. And God, I think that's everything we've tested. But yeah, it's like that. I was going for kind of that straight razor feel, more than anything else. Like, I remember I didn't go into this thing with any particular sense of direction. I just wanted to hammer on some steel and move it around. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but when you have a straight slab of steel, when you hammer on the edge, the spine curves like this, and that's how I got that got this shape. And when I saw that happening and I saw the shape I was getting, I was like, you know what? That is exactly what I want right now. All right, knock off. See you in a few minutes. Crap. Favorite song is a really hard call to make, dude. Like I've been like, you know, like I've been developing my taste in music since like 1994. So picking a favorite is nearly impossible. You know, and my taste runs from like they don't make metal heavy enough. Then there's like electronic EDM, some hardcore stuff from some hardcore Dutch stuff from around Holland and all that. That's really fucking rowdy. There's some more mellow stuff like Crash Test Dummies and like Blues Traveler, AC/DC to some Black Sabbath to some Biggie, Snoop Dogg, Tech Nine. Like it really is all over the place. And lately, I have been defaulting to Anger Fist whenever I get in the truck and pick the first song out to play. And on the way home today, like I went ahead and opened up some Fear Factory. There is some pop stuff that I'm okay with. Like I can see some musicianship and it's entertaining. Country, there is some good country out there. Again, I can see the musicianship, and I I definitely I know some of it's good. I just haven't found something that clicks with me yet. And yeah, Sergio, I've kind of been through a lot of everything. I don't even bother looking for specific genres. I will find something cool on YouTube and then follow the rabbit hole of related links down until I find something I like. And that's one of my other problems is, and I think that's a lot of us, but a band will release like one or two songs that I really like, and then the rest of their the rest of their discography is just like, not for me. But like Slaughter to Prevail is kind of in that getting close to heavy enough. There's like Born of Osiris, which I'm gonna tell you right now, Born of Osiris is amazing. The Browning, I wish they would get back to the kind of sound they were making a little bit earlier in their life. The Browning was combining oh yeah, no, that's what I just said. Slaughter to Prevail is one of those. Like I love those guys. And again, it's only a couple of songs, but the ones they have are, absolute bangers. But the Browning, they combined European hardstyle and metal, like very reasonably heavy metal. Fucking fantastic sound. And then they've kind of strayed farther and farther away from that as they matured. Yeah, and Born of Osiris, that's one too. As they've matured and their sounds changed, it's kind of drifted farther and farther away from what I wanted. Bloodshot Dawn, their first couple albums worth of stuff was fantastic. Oh my God, yes, Demolisher and Baba Yaga. Those are the two. Oh boy. Not only that, but their drums are tuned perfectly for my truck sound system. Like they sound perfect on that. I'm trying to think, what are some of the other really, really good bangers? I mentioned Bloodshot Dawn. There's a band called Discarnate. Dyscarnate. And Iron Strengthens Iron. Jesus Christ, that song is good. Like, it comes out of the gate strong as shit and just, it goes. But yeah. I checked Poppy out at one of my kids' recommendations, and what I heard didn't really click. But Fear Factory, that's definitely a favorite. And it's, again, there's a handful of songs that I absolutely love. And then the rest of them are like, I mean, this is good, but it's not me. Iron Maiden, you really owe yourself Iron Maiden. If you haven't listened to a lot of it, you should. Part of that is to see where, modern metal comes from. And part of it is it's just so well put together. Everything is so good. And Bruce Dickinson is an absolute monster. Like, that is a master class in being a front man and performing. Fear Factory. So there's Shock. New Breed, and Zero Signal. And Zero Signal is amazing. Oh, okay. So, has any of you guys listened to Ne Obliviscaris yet? Ne Obliviscaris is amazing. They are an Australian metal band. Like they have got like their own symphony. They've got a clean vocalist that sounds kind of Led Zeppelin-ish, and then they got a dirty vocalist who's got like, it's not the deepest, heaviest growl in the world, but it's good, like really good. And their shit is put together so well that the Sydney Conservatory uses them to teach music composition. Like they are amazing. And I will put this in the chat if you want to make a note of it and look it up later. So yeah, I just dropped it in the chat. There's like 2 songs you want to check out if you're interested in seeing what that's all about. Oh, and a third one that's more recent. I believe I checked out Lorna Shore at one point, and the couple of things I looked at didn't click right away. But I think that was also at a point where I was really digging the European hardstyle EDM, and again the really crazy Dutch stuff. Like if you like electronic and you like really rowdy, pissed off stuff, Anger Fist is the way to go. You got like Anger Fist, you got Grid Killer. I know I've got one song on my phone, Indica Ali featured on it. I can't remember who she was with. And of course, like the Anger Fist and the Grid Killer stuff like that. You've also got a lot of really deep bass hits, like a lot of them. And I do like it when. I do have the Pisces live session. I love that. I haven't found anything else I like by them, but like I do like it when you got really hard bass hits and they're just hitting nonstop for the whole song. Like they come out, they start the song with it, they go the whole song, they finish the song. I love that. Also, one to look up is Devin Townsend performing Kingdom for EMG Music. That was an amazing performance. Strapping Young Lad. They've got a few songs that, Strapping Young Lad. They were heavy as hell, especially for back in the day. And some of their stuff is just crazy. Like Love is one of the nastiest things I've ever heard. That guitar riff, nasty. Pantera, of course, we can't talk about this stuff without mentioning Pantera. They've had a lot of them that I like. That Cowboys from Hell album was a masterpiece. Everything after Cowboys from Hell didn't really click with me, though. And that might have been because, thanks to Phil Anselmo's addiction to opiates and heroin, the band was falling apart already. You know, Mudvayne's had a couple, like Dig. Oh. So I like quite a bit of Slipknot. And on the other side of that coin, if you're not familiar with Mushroomhead, you got to check those guys out. Like they have some stuff that is just, it is hard, it is angry, it is aggro. And yeah, like I don't cry really. Like the only time I've cried since 2008 was when we put our dog to sleep. But before that, even when I did cry, I had to get blackout drunk to do it. And then I was crying alone in a dark room, which is part of why I quit drinking. But the only time I'd cried in my right mind before that was in 2007 when my uncle passed away. Outside of those two things, I don't think I've cried since I was like, shit, 12. But yeah, no, Dimebag Daryl was upsetting. Um, and I was pissed off because there was like no coverage. MTV is just like, oh, this guy died and moved on. Like there was nothing else. QWERTY is good. However, I think my favorite from Mushroomhead is Come On. That is like, oh, sublime. Like I did save QWERTY to my phone. Like you got These Filthy Hands, you got Save Us, you got 1200, We Are the Truth. Like a lot of good stuff out of Mushroomhead. I know I've seen the name Suicide Silence. Jeez. What else in the metal genre am I super into? Like, if I could look through my phone right now, I could really give you a rundown on it. But my phone is recording, and my backup phone doesn't have my SD card in it, so I can't tell you what that's all about. Or I can't look at, redundant files. Yeah. No, that's what pissed me off about that too. Like I was watching, just wanting to see the coverage and what happened and what all led up to it. And they gave it like 10 seconds. They're just like, hey, this guy died. All right, let's move on. Like, what the fuck? As long as I listen to music, I will never understand why they did that. I don't know why they did the man dirty like that. Oh, there's a band called Igor. Igor, it's got 3 R's on the end. And they occasionally come out with something that's absolutely nuts. And there's one song they did, it's called Parpanging with a Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. Like they got George Fisher in there, and they threw chiptunes in with like one of the heavier, nastier riffs that I've heard in a long time. Like that song is, oh god. I didn't catch a guy from Drowning Pool passing away. I think that happened at a time when I was like kind of isolated from the world. I didn't really have MTV. I wasn't listening to the radio a whole lot. Like it was just me and my CD collection in the car to and from work every day. So I missed that one. Yeah, Igor is like kind of an art band. So everything they do is like radically different from the last thing they did. So some of the stuff they hit, heavy as hell, absolutely a delight, and some of it's just like, this is kind of weird. Not my thing, but I appreciate the fact that they did weird. Not heavy. And then Cheval by Igor. That whole thing is nuts. You got like an accordion in there, violin. There's a lot going on. I mean, let's be fair. Chris Cornell was like way more mainstream famous, and Chester Bennington, you fucking household name. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew Linkin Park. Like, there was no getting around that one. That'd be like if Eminem died. Man, this thing is cutting nice. Yeah, there's a lot of Linkin Park that I like, a lot. I've only got a little bit saved in my phone. Just the stuff that hits me that I need right now, I'll download, and then I'll forget about the rest. Um, Kind of when my CD collection got stolen out of my car, like my meth head neighbors broke into my car and stole my subs, my head unit, and my mag light, and all the CDs I had in the car. You know, and I could have lived without I could have lived without the head unit. I could have lived without the subs. The CD collection is what fucked me over. Like they didn't have the decency to leave that because that was all the stuff that I was really into that I listened to all the time. That was the get me through the day stuff. The stuff I had at home was the stuff that I listened to at one point and kind of moved on from and wasn't that into anymore. I like a lot of Eminem. Um, but that's just me. Like not everybody has to be into the same things. I will say after he got clean, the way the direction the music's gone is actually like I can't say it's better than the old Slim Shady stuff. It's as good, but I'm glad that it's different than that. Totally different vibe. System of a Down, that's another favorite. Um, and that's again like 2 albums of bangers, and then they kind of fell off for me personally. I think it was kind of one of those. And I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of bands is like their first album or two is all songs they spent 10, 12 years working on. And then the next couple of albums is like, well, we got to fill this contract out. We got to make this album in a certain time. Let's slap whatever we can together. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, Jimmy's Chicken Shack, the Pushing the Salmonella Envelope CD. The entire thing is a fucking masterpiece. That is one of the few where I can hit play, listen to the whole thing without stopping, and be perfectly content. Oh, wow, that is awesome. Oh, Avatar, another metal band. Um, the Black Waltz CD, or the Black Waltz album. The whole thing is perfect. Like everything on there is an absolute banger. And it's a very, very unique unto them sound. They started going in a much more mellow, like less aggressive, less heavy direction as they matured out. So they kind of lost me, but oh my god, that album is whew, higher. Oh no, like you shouldn't be ashamed of that. Like there are times where you need a break from the heavy stuff. You need a break from, your usual fare. That's just like I've got a couple of Fall Out Boy songs. What else? There's a few of them that, I feel like I shouldn't be that proud of, but I've also kind of gotten old enough and I give so few fucks. It's like, hey, I need a break from the usual. And the Fall Out Boy that I downloaded, it was made really well. It is catchy as hell. I don't think it deserves the hate it gets. And, it is what it is. Fine Frog, what's up? So, just so you know, we're playing with a knife that I made about 10 years ago out of 01 tool steel, and we're seeing how good it cuts and how well the edge holds up. And we got about 25 minutes left before I got to hang it up and go upstairs. And we're talking about music, particularly talking about heavy metal and the stuff that we're into. I'm trying to think. What are the other ones I'm not proud of per se in the collection? I can't think of anything right now. Oh. If you want some absolute silliness, and I do mean pure raw silliness, there's a band called Van Canto, and basically they make music. They make a kind of metal hard rock, a lot of cover songs, no guitars. It's all guys making guitar sounds while they're singing, and a drummer. Oh, I am familiar with Hylong. I've seen some of their videos, and I can tell it's good. I know why people like it. It just didn't necessarily click with me. Um, oh, we didn't mention a Monomarth. I think we need to mention that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just, you don't have to have heavy 24/7. You do need to take a break from it once in a while. If you want something trippy as shit, there's a guy that does electronic. He's called Shpongle, Shpongle. That dude does some of the trippiest shit I have heard in my life, and I am so glad that that didn't exist and I didn't have access to a phone or nothing like that to watch it. That 2 months I spent huffing lighter fluid because I probably would not have survived. And the crappy thing is, one of my old phones had an SD card with a bunch of Spangle on it that I was using to sleep at night because the vibe on it was trippy, but it was really peaceful. And I think it was designed for doing mushrooms, acid, and other hallucinogens too. So, like, you're trying to create a safe trip while you're blowing minds. And the phone that I think I had that on, like the music player on the phone won't read the SD card anymore. Oh, nice. Cradle of Filth and Dumu Borgir. Those are a couple of really good ones. They get a little bit of hate for being too mainstream, but like they're good bands. Oh, nice. Oh, and if you're not old enough to be familiar with Crash Test Dummies, that is one where, oh yes, there's a few Type O Negative songs I absolutely love and could not function without in my collection. Absolutely. But Crash Test Dummies, like that is one of the weirdest, most early to mid '90s things you will hear in your life. Like the vibe is so relaxed, it's so good. Like I absolutely love it. That first album, again, God Shuffled His Feet, perfect album. Perfect. The whole thing's a masterpiece. Again, you can hit play, jam out to the entire thing. Everything's going to be a banger. Another one of my old favorites, all time, is going to be They Might Be Giants. And that's just the Flood album. The rest of it, I'm like, I can live without this. But the Flood album, Flood was a masterpiece. Yeah, I was definitely saddened by Peter Steele's death. I will say, though, that guy got to live a wild ass life. Yeah, I was gonna mention Type O Negative earlier and kept jumping to other things. Um, oh no, he was a monster, absolute monster. Shit. Anthrax. I found a few Anthrax songs that I like. You got of course, Public Enemy, Bring the Noise. And then stuff off like their least popular ass album, The Sound of White Noise. Like Potter's Field, High Pro Glow. High Pro Glow is like one of the most amazing things like I've ever heard, especially the guitar solo in that one. Jesus. So we're beating on another knife that I made that I finally found again, and this is 01 Tool Steel. So we are taking a look at my heat treatment, and we're looking at, you know, edge retention on it. But yeah, this is one I made, got to be about 10 years ago now. And we've been going for a little over 2.5 or 1.5 hours. I'm going to wrap the stream up at 4 so I can go upstairs and just kind of chill for a while before I got to put myself under for the night. Just kind of wrap things up a little earlier than usual. So far, it's holding up great compared to the other one I made. After the first hour, we were still getting clean cuts on the paper. Let's see where we're at now. So far, leagues better than the other one. I am having such a hard time getting these cuts to start. Come on. It's definitely showing edge wear now. For once, would you just cut smoothly? Oh, for the love of God, I can't get this cut to start. Oh, yeah. So I don't do Spotify. I don't do other streaming services. I just find what I like and go to a YouTube to MP3 converter and just rip the audio. You know, because I'm so selective in my taste, I end up, you know, only liking 1 or 2 songs from most bands. And so, like Spotify, I'll put in what I want to hear, and then it's nothing but suggestions of stuff that's adjacent that I don't want to hear. Now, No Rain by Blind Melon is just a little chunk of happiness in a song. I love that song. Yeah, we got some significant edge wear now. So let's see whether or not we can get it stropped up good. And I really want that diamond paste and that new strop to get here because I really want to see how that does with these things. I really do. All right. And the strop wants to move every time I touch it. So we're going to do ourselves a favor and start clamping the strop down. I do like a little bit of Ozzy. There's some good stuff there. One of his newer songs, much more recent releases, Under the Grave. That one is really good. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Shit. But Madonna's guitarist has a band. It's kind of a hard rock band, a little bit of dad rock, but they're actually kind of good. It's Monty something. I have not seen that. I tell you, one thing that really hurts my feelings, like Blues Traveler was on the canned music at work when I started there, and they added something from, you know, my day, and then I was like, what next? Collective Soul, and like 3 weeks later, they added Collective Soul to the rotation. It was Dave Matthews Band. Have not seen it, but they added Dave Matthews Band to the canned music, and then I was like, "What's next? Collective Soul?" And like 3 weeks later, boom, Collective Soul. Hurt my feelings. Like Collective Soul again, a couple of things that I like, but that's about it. The biggest one is The World I Know, but I have come around to like a. I came around to like December. Mr. Glock 23, I hope you were just screwing with us. Or that's a reference to something I know nothing about. Right? What was it? There's that band Live. Like I remember when those guys were oversaturated on the radio, and it was still good. And I keep forgetting I need to go back and check their stuff out again and see if there's stuff I like showing up. Glock 23, have you sewn your finger back on yet? Like I'm seriously curious as to what you're referring to. Collective Soul, like they stayed on the radio from around 1996 or something like that until the early to mid 2000s. God, I hate fucking this cut up so much. Okay, so the edge definitely stropped back up. We're going to give it a little bit more love. Like, I'm assuming he was making a joke. Like, that's got to be making a joke. Or he's referring to something with music that I've never heard before and have no clue what it is. That's what I'm waiting to find out. Like, I'm trying to find out if that's a reference I don't understand. Like, yeah, if I cut a finger off, I'd be on my way to the ER. Knowing my luck, it'd be the middle finger. And then I'd be getting that sewn on. It's like, hey, could you give me a vestigial middle finger so I can just keep that up while I'm doing everything else? Just make sure the whole world knows. No, I genuinely hope he was just being funny. Like genuinely. Like that is a scary thing to say. That's just like I can't imagine what my manager was like when I ran into his office and I'm like, I just broke my wrist, and like he stopped and stared for like 30 seconds. And I was like, I expected that because that's the same thing I do. Well, look at that. That thing dropped right back up. Nice. Woohoo! That's a nice cut. That is a nice cut, and I'm so happy this thing held up for a little over 2 hours before before wearing out. Like, I honestly thought, given how little I knew about what I was doing, that that it was going to be one of those that held up for like 45 minutes or something like that. Like, that's what I was afraid of. All right, we're right back to it cutting just like when it started. Like I said, that might have been a reference to a song lyric or something like that, or a weird band title. I don't know. Huh. And dear God, I've got to use the bathroom. Like, I need this next 6 minutes to go by. And again, let's collectively guess what the odds are. It's like tomorrow after work, I'll do the update video on how this thing performed, just like I did with the last one. And oh wow. But just like that first video I did showing off some of the things I made, you know, we had someone come in and he's like, we all know that you just ground down some steak knives and put edges on those because only stainless steel is shiny like that. And I know I shared a screenshot of that in the chat. But so we had that guy. We had a different guy when I did the update on the other knife that we did. And he's just like, well, if you know, he's like, well, you cut that out of a machete blank, and when you use a cutting board for the scales, it's gonna look ugly. And it can be shiny if you polish it. I mean, that's the whole point of polishing. But huh. It might have been a 940 just with a clip swapped out, but yeah, if you're not comfortable, don't do it. But so we're gonna wager what the odds are that we have someone come in doing that same thing when I do the update on this tomorrow. You know, going over how it performed. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see who does that. And you know, I also kind of wonder, like, should I, when I'm doing the video, just be like, hey, I see you, boo boo. Come out here and say that stuff. I need the screenshot, and just leave it at that. It's like, I didn't screenshot the guy that did the last one because I thought the comment was going to stay up and I could get to it when I remembered it. Because I saw it right after I woke up and I wasn't really able to think too clearly. Oh, yeah, no. Like, I'm pretty sure they're trolling. Like, if they honestly believe that and they're saying it with their full chest, you know, whatever. I don't care. What I care about is I want the screenshot. That's what I want. I want the screenshot from that. I love a good screenshot. That's just like I don't know if you guys have this happen, but about every year to 2 years, I have somebody that I've been friends with from way long ago. And every so often they'll just blast me on like Messenger, and they're like, well, since you haven't reached out to me in such a long time, we're obviously not friends, and go on this long tirade about bullshit. And you know, I don't even respond. Yeah, I probably should pin it. But yeah, I didn't screenshot the last one. But these guys will just go ape shit on me in Messenger, and it's like, well, dude, I have not seen the Sharpen's Best Sharpener. But like, those guys get automatically blocked. I don't care to engage with them. It's the same thing as engaging with trolls. and I have a personal policy of not putting up with that. So I get all the screenshots off it. They're wonderful screenshots. Some of those things are totally unhinged. Um, but it's just like every couple of years I have that happen. I don't know if that's a common thing that happens to you guys too, or if it's just unique to me. Because I mean, the same guys making these complaints are guys that haven't reached out to me either. They're just flipping out on me for not reaching out to them. I mean, it's the dumbest thing. Oh, wow. You got to remember, some people's feelings are pretty easily hurt. Yeah, I like this edge, and it's been mentioned. Like, this is a surprisingly good slicer for something that's this damn thick. That's a thick chungus, but somehow I got the beveling just right to do like a 4-stage convex bevel on it, and it worked out. Yeah, like I've got Facebook kind of to amuse me, and also because I got people who their politics and opinions are garbage, but they're also like kind of dangerous, especially for how many of them there are. So I kind of keep them as a litmus, a canary in the cage to gauge how things are going and what I need to be looking out for. Um, but yeah, a lot of it is just I got some old friends I like seeing updates from, and I like amusing myself. Like I know enough people that post funny pictures that I'm entertained. God almighty, just cut cleanly. But we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Y'all, everybody have a good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is where you are. I'm going upstairs and using the bathroom. Maybe you guys have some tips on how to pull the tip of your heart back up inside your body. And we'll do another one of these soon, and we'll figure out what we're going to do it on. I haven't decided yet. Yes, sir. Off to the bathroom I go. One more for the road. There you go. All right. Y'all have a good one. I'm signing out.